Hello and welcome to Bubbly Bibbly, the podcast about books and bubbles, literature and libations, authors and alcohol. I'm Rachel, and this is my brainchild.
And I'm Carmen, and I'm just along for a fun ride.
So, what are you drinking tonight, Carmen?
Tonight, I am drinking a Sour Monkey from Victory Brewing Company in my old stomping ground of Downingtown, Pennsylvania.
Oh my gosh!
It is it's a beer from Victory Brewing, and my son turned me on to this. And it is, like I said, it's a sour, so it's got some citrusy hints to it. And it's very, very good.
Well, I'm drinking a dry martini tonight, and I'm not using Grey Goose. I'm using just regular vodka Tito's. I'm using like vodka martini. But for a great martini recipe, we have the recipe on our website at bubblybibbly.com under recipes. And that's bubblybibbly.com under recipes.
Now, let me ask you about your cocktail making, because a lot of people they shy away from putting dry vermouth in, but I think dry vermouth is a very necessary ingredient to kind of balance that vodka. But, a lot of people say, oh, I just look at it from across the room as I'm mixing my vodka. Do you add dry vermouth to yours?
I do. I actually do. And I have a little thing of bitters that I put in there. It just makes just gives a little something.
Oh, I love that. I like to put a tiny, tiny bit of table salt in my.
Yeah, but you don't use just table salt, do you?
Oh, it's Himalayan pink salt, but I don't want to seem like a snob if I didn't have any Himalayan pink salt that I harvested myself when I climbed the Himalayas. Of course I didn't. Then I would use regular old Morton salt. So I think it just adds a tiny bite to it that I love.
I'm going to have to try that on my next one.
And you're making me want to down this Sour Monkey and reach for the Tito's or Grey Goose and make myself a vodka martini.
Oh, I love Grey Goose, though. That's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, definitely. Then that's not one that you mix.
Not really.
If you're going to get
very strong and it'll kick your butt if you're not careful.
Yeah, if you tell me that you drink Grey Goose with tonic, I'll probably break up with you.
No, I don't. That's almost kind of not a shot, but it's a good where you just sip it.
Yes. So, how was your holiday? We just had Father's Day, and we just had the 4th of July. So I remember talking last time about your Jell-O shots. Did you have a good holiday?
They went over awesome. So they were red, white, and blue. The blue was on top, and it was daiquiri, pina colada, and Mai Tai were the flavors.
My goodness, that sounds fabulous.
Oh, it was good. It's probably the best Jell-O shots I had made. Yeah. Everybody enjoyed them.
Good. To celebrate the 4th of July, I, of course, watched Hamilton. And
I did too.
Yeah, thank you, Disney Plus. And it really makes me want to read the book that Lin-Manuel Miranda read on vacation that inspired him to do this hip hop play.
I was thinking about that too. I think that would be a lovely read after maybe that should be our challenge, is that we all should read that next month or whenever we can get it.
Yeah. And there are so many companion books with it that tells about the Schuyler sisters and that tells about the Marquis de Lafayette. So there are a lot of really great books out there that you can read around the 4th of July about the founding of our country.
So you actually got to go see Hamilton.
I did. The funny story is my job that I was with for 20 years, my beloved company, they moved my position to Pennsylvania. And so I was, well, of course, I was not going to move. So I was laid off. And the weekend after I was laid off, I was on a flight to New York City, flying first class with a ticket to see Hamilton, because why not?
Exactly. And I love that you got to go and that you went.
Yes, yes. And I stayed at the Knickerbocker Hotel, which
It's a boutique motel.
well, as a matter of fact, they say that the dry martini was invented at the Knickerbocker.
No way.
I know, right? And
Cheers. Clink, clink.
so I stayed at the Knickerbocker, which was within walking distance of Broadway. It's right there in Times Square. I highly recommend it. Everyone is so wonderful, and it is a boutique hotel, but it's not crazy in the price range. You know, they're very, very reasonable for a Times Square location.
Right.
And so after Hamilton, I decided to go to Junior's for a cheesecake because, of course, that's what you do. And they were packed. And when I left Junior's, the play To Kill a Mockingbird, the stage door, the actors were coming out of the stage door. So I was able to meet Jeff Daniels.
Oh, no way.
Atticus Finch at the time.
Is he tall? He seems like he's tall.
Oh, you know, he was so gracious. He was so nice. And, you know, if I was an actor doing the same play night after night, that is the last thing I would want to do, you know, is go outside in the cold, because this was November. So it was very cold. And he spent time with everyone, was so gracious, signed their playbill. And it makes me want to go back now and see To Kill a Mockingbird. But of course, Jeff Daniels has moved on from that part. Now it's Ed Harris, which is.
See, I would like him too, though.
Yes, yes.
There's nothing wrong with either one of those. By the way.
Yes, that's my Hamilton story. It was an experience I will never forget.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
So this podcast, we actually are going to be talking about pairing books in the holidays. So besides Hamilton, we just got done with Father's Day. So do you buy your dad a book? Or
I don't buy my dad books because he has a very narrow focus that he likes to read, and he has a limited time to read. So, but on his shelf, a book caught my eye the last time I was over, and it's called The Gulf: The Making of an American Sea by Jack E. Davis. And it caught my eye because we have gone to the Gulf for vacation since I was a kid. And,
right.
You know, it's only like
some of the best beaches in the world.
Oh my goodness. It's only about a 6-hour drive, and it's just so relaxing. And like you said, the sand is like sugar sand. And I picked it up and I read a couple of chapters, and I had no idea, first of all, how the Gulf formed. And second of all, how there's sea life in the Gulf that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, just because it's its own ecosystem.
Right.
And I didn't know that. So they even talk about the oysters of Apalachicola, and how prolific they were, why they were as tasty as they were, and then why they disappeared. And that had nothing to do with the oil spill. You know, that was a whole new thing, the oil spill. So
Right.
it's very interesting, and I'm going to put that on my TBR.
Oh, that sounds like a really good book, especially about the Gulf of Mexico with it being so close. We go every year.
Yes, yes. How about you? Do you buy books for your family?
I do buy books for my family. I usually can buy books for my husband. He's into sci-fi and history and architectural history, and he's a reader too. He'll just read anything, but his favorite, just kind of like his chocolate that he could eat all the time, would be like sci-fi. Um, and I tried one year to buy a book for my father-in-law, and that just, I don't think that went well. And it was before it was a TV show, it was before anything. I'd heard about this book, so I bought it, and then I went a week later and bought it for myself. And it wasn't really a father-in-law book that I probably should have given, but it was Outlander.
What did you give him? 50 Shades of Grey?
Not 50 Shades of Grey, but Outlander. So,
Oh yeah. Outlander is sexy.
It is, but it's a cool kind of historical. It's a story that sort of throws in history in a fun way.
Yes.
But I probably should have read the book first.
Well, did you get any feedback?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well.
No, so I just get him shirts now. But my daughter, I can buy books. I can buy books for anyone, but probably. And my mother-in-law and I, we sort of exchange books here and there too. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I have 3 boys, and they're not readers, and it's I read to them, you know, growing up, of course, and they saw me read, but they're really into the video games, and now that they're grown, one is a nurse, and he just is, you know, front lines of this COVID thing, and one is a machinist, and he works second shift, and the other one is, you know, helping raise a 3-year-old, and so he's probably reading his share of children's books right now, but you know, none of them are really readers the way I am.
Yeah, and that's another thing we have in common, is that I have a son who's a nurse, and he's kind of on the front lines. He works trauma. So he's not actually on the COVID floor, thank goodness. And he reads a lot, but not necessarily for enjoyment. When he likes his downtime, he likes to go and run and hike and, you know, be in nature and just really, decompress. And then my daughter is a voracious reader, and she writes and reads for a living. So she writes and does a lot of stuff. She's a communication person. So she reads and writes all the time.
You know, with the holidays, I guess it's hard to pair some holidays, and it's easy to pair other holidays, like Christmas. There is one book that I read every single Christmas, and that is by Dorothea Benton Frank, and it's The Christmas Pearl. And my mom and I read that book every single Christmas. And I also love to read a cozy mystery, you know, because they're just kind of fun and Christmas oriented. I can't really think of any other books that I really pair.
No, but you had something interesting about Halloween too.
I searched one year, several years ago, for the scariest book ever. And so I polled a lot of my reading friends, what is the scariest book you've ever read? And I got a lot of the common books that you would imagine: The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, Amityville Horror. But the scariest book I have ever read is by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son, and it is The Heart-Shaped Box. And that book is about an aging musician who collects odd and kind of taboo things, and he hears about a suit that a man wore, and it has a curse on it. So he wants to buy this suit, And so the suit arrives in a heart-shaped box, and it does indeed have the spirit of the man who wore it attached to it.
Nope. 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 I can't do it.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it because this will really make you want to pick it up. It turns out that the man whose spirit is attached to this suit is the father of a past girlfriend of this rock star who, when they broke up, she killed herself. See? Doesn't it sound just deliciously scary?
It does. And that's one thing. I'm not a big horror genre, whatever, but I do like a good mystery. So like during Halloween or October, I love good mysteries. And so like I always read Murder on the Orient Express. That's one of my faves because I love the ending. I mean, I just love Agatha Christie's probably one of my favorite writers. So,
I don't think I've ever read Murder on the Orient Express. I've read several of her others, and her very favorite of mine is And Then There Were None. I just think it is so brilliantly done, and I could not see the end coming.
You will fall in love with the detective in the Orient Express. He is your kind of man.
Is that Hercule Poirot?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to have to read that one. Yes, yes.
It's great. And the ending is just so delicious that it's one of my favorites. So
I'll definitely have to. I'm sure it's on my reading list. I'll have to move it up a little bit.
So while we're kind of in this quarantine COVID moment of history, it's still summertime, and so there's a lot of summer reading challenges going out, especially for kids, and the student lists are out. I know that students, they can check with their schools of what their summer reading is, and then Scholastic always has some things, and the local library does too. But what are some of your things that you like to look at as far as, I don't know, challenges?
Well, I was part of a virtual book reading group online when Shelfari. I don't know if you remember Shelfari. It was an online kind of way.
We're telling our age,
Yeah, it was an online way to keep track of your books. And I was a Shelfari person before Goodreads. And Shelfari, I think Amazon bought Shelfari and merged it into Goodreads. Library Thing, I also love Library Thing. But in the group that I was in, we had a summer and a winter reading challenge. And the moderators would come up with themes. So you would read 10 books throughout the challenge, but then we would have mini challenges. So you would read a book with red, white, and blue, or you would read a book with snow in the title. And you got points for every book that you read and reviewed. And then at the end of the reading challenge, the moderators would award an Amazon gift card. And I always thought that was really cool. I think one of my favorite is the Pop Sugar reading challenge. I always love the Pop Sugar. I never can do it all, but I think it's fun. Have you ever tried to do it?
I have not. I'm doing good to keep up with my book clubs and what I want to read. And then my list always keeps getting longer and longer of the books I still need to get to.
Yeah. I remember one winter reading challenge. It was bingo. And so every bingo card was different. And it was a blackout bingo. So you had to fill in all of the squares. And it was so much fun.
That is so cool. I love that idea. And I know we have people who are listening who are members of book clubs or maybe help moderate them. So what are some of the ideas? How do you challenge your members to do, to get their reading on, as we might say?
Yeah. Do you find that you get immersed in a certain genre? That you're just reading historical fiction or you're just reading. Mm-hmm. I remember once, it seemed like every book I read was about the Holocaust and World War II. The Nightingale and The Book Thief. And, I needed to get out of that rut. And these book clubs, these virtual book clubs really got me out of my comfort zone because I would read things that I don't normally read. I'm not a huge science fiction fan, but I was introduced to a huge array of science fiction authors that I never would have even considered.
Exactly. Last year, I got stuck in that World War II, reading the Lilac Girls, and then just kind of kept reading from there. But then one of the ladies in my book club said, "Oh, we're reading Annihilation," which is like totally science fiction. And I fell in love with it. And so much so that I had to read all 3 books to figure out what the stupid crawler is the crawler in the book. And you never do really figure it out. And in the movie, they don't really explain it either. So, but it was a really great, fun read. It was totally different. And I loved it.
Yes. So, and I love branching out like that.
Exactly. So before we get too much off topic, you have a great Goodreads library that you're on. So I would recommend going and looking at all the books that Carmen has read, what she likes and doesn't like. But also we have her reviews are on our website. So we've got quite a few up there right now, and we're going to be adding more. And that's on our website at bubblybibly.com. At bubblybibly.com, and it's under reviews. Also, check us out online. Again, we have recipes, we've got reviews, we've got a lot of other things on there. We'll be adding to it.
Every book that we mention, we will put a link to in the comments after the podcast, so that you can, if you missed it, or if you didn't quite catch an author, you can click on that list. Everything that we mentioned will be listed there with a link to go to it on Goodreads, so you can read some reviews of it. And if Rachel and I have read it, you can see what we thought about it.
Exactly. So let us know what you think about pairing reads with seasons and holidays, and how else you think you might or how do you decide to read, and what do you pick a time of the year that you like to read certain books? Let us know.
If you have a favorite pairing, drop that down in the comments too.
Exactly. And we will talk to you next time on the next edition of Bubbly Bibbly.